Today I will be reviewing three well-known research process models: guided inquiry, action research, and the seven pillars model. All three can be used for various reasons, and they each have some very unique qualities that set them apart from other research process models. Some strengths of guided inquiry include that it's a traditional research model. Students' background knowledge and expertise is included within this process, and it is the most efficient method for research and creativity. It is also designed around students' learning. Action research includes reflection throughout all of its stages, and it also requires students to plan and act on new understanding. The seven pillars model includes core skills and competencies students need to know, and students can evaluate their attitudes and behaviors at each stage of the process. Students gain a better understanding of their strengths and weaknesses within their own research. Guided inquiry doesn't appear to omit anything from the research process. It is student-centered, provides a third space for students, and it stresses 21st century competencies. Action research has several reflection stages. Some experts say that it is a 7-stage process, however, others say that it is a 10-stage process. It all depends on how often one reflects on their learning throughout the research. There is not one clear-cut process for users to follow. The seven pillars model does not allow for collaborative group work unless initiated by the teacher. Guided inquiry is designed around student learning. It requires students to use critical thinking skills, and student communication is a focus. Students collaborate, share, and reflect on new learning. Action research involves a continuous reflection process on the planning and process of the research. The user is constantly reevaluating their learning process. The seven pillars model allows users to measure their information literacy skills as they progress through their own research, and they must communicate new learning throughout the entire process. Guided inquiry is clearly a student-centered model. Students investigate a topic which interests them, and they proceed with research. Action research can be used either by teachers, teacher librarians, or students. Whoever the user, they continually reflect on their learning and research process. The seven pillars model is clearly student-centered. Users continually communicate new learning, and they reflect on their information literacy skills throughout the entire research process. Some assumptions about guided inquiry that it is a clear-cut process and students will not have difficulty. This is simply not true. Students should be expected to have some obstacles within the process, especially if they have never been exposed to the guided inquiry process before. For action research, collaboration is an important aspect. Collaboration is almost always the best process. In the seven pillars model, students reflect on new skills acquired during the research process. This may be initially a difficult task, especially if students have never been asked to reflect on their skills before. Guided inquiry is an 8-stage process in which students work at their own pace. Action research can be either a 7 or 10-stage process depending on how often students are asked to stop and reflect on their learning within the model. The seven pillars model offers a 7-stage process in which the final step is synthesizing the new information learned. Guided inquiry is meant to be a collaborative process. Students communicate their understanding by collaborating, sharing, and reflecting. Action research allows users to work collaboratively with others to analyze a problem, narrow an issue, and develop a research question that can be researched. The seven pillars research model is more of an individual process. Users identify their strengths and weaknesses throughout the research process. However, collaboration can be incorporated in the final synthesis stage. Guided inquiry is a process-oriented research model. It has 8 stages. The first stage, which is the open stage, is an invitation to inquiry, and it stimulates students' curiosity. The second stage, immerse stage, this is where students build background knowledge in which the third space is created. Stage 3, the explore stage. Users find interesting ideas, questions, and resources. In the fourth stage, the identify stage, users identify questions and they decide the direction for the research. Stage 5, the gather stage. This is where users select resources, gather info, and they read deeply. Stage 6, the create stage. This is where students organize their new learning in a creative platform of their choice. Stage 7, the share stage. This is where users share their learning with others. And finally, the 8th stage, the evaluate stage. This is where they evaluate their achievement and reflect on the learning process. Action research is more of a product-oriented process. It's used to problem solve. The user identifies an issue, determines a process or procedure, and then conducts research. The process can be outlined in 7 steps. Step 1, determine a topic and develop questions. Step 2, review the literature. Step 3, look at the community learning environment. Step 4, collect data. Step 5, organize and interpret the data. And finally, step 6, implement changes. Like guided inquiry, the 7 pillars model is also process-oriented. The user follows 7 stages. Stage 1, identify stage. This is where users identify their need for information. The second stage, the scope stage, this is where users assess current knowledge on the topic and gaps within their learning. Step 3, this is the plan stage. This is where users construct strategies for locating information. Stage 4, the gather stage. This is where users locate and assess the information needed. The 5th stage, the evaluation stage, this is where users review the research process and evaluate the gathered information. Stage 6, the manage stage. This is where the user organizes the information. And then finally, stage 7, the present stage. This is where users apply new learning and synthesize the information. In guided inquiry, students develop 5 kinds of learning. The first type, curriculum content learning, this involves fact-finding and synthesizing information. The second type is information literacy learning, which involves understanding concepts for locating, evaluating, and using the information. The third kind, literacy competence learning, which entails applying reading, writing, speaking, listening, viewing, and presentation skills. The fourth type, social skills learning. This is where students interact, cooperate, and collaborate in groups. And then the fifth type of learning, learning how to learn. This involves having a sense of one's own learning process. In action research, this can be used by students, teachers, or teacher librarians. It involves a continuous process of reflection, and it can be combined with the guided inquiry framework. The 7 pillars model is very flexible, and it too can be used by students, teachers, or teacher librarians. In guided inquiry, students can be expected to achieve deep understanding of a topic or concept. However, they cannot be expected to learn all the content on a subject. In action research, the same process may be applicable to another problem or subject. However, biases can play a role within the process. In the 7 pillars model, students can determine their strengths and weaknesses in inquiry learning while simultaneously conducting research. But they can't become an expert overnight. This is simply unrealistic. Using this model over time will help students grow in their information literacy skill set. Throughout my research, I have come to the conclusion that guided inquiry would be the most appropriate research model for our school, and it correlates well with our school's current curriculum. This collaborative, student-oriented process is clear-cut. It is a traditional research model. Students' background knowledge and expertise is included within the process, and it is the most efficient method for research and creativity. 5 types of learning can be used within this process, and students can achieve deep understanding of a topic or concept. Overall, this research model would benefit students and staff at North Mahaska.